yeah, we'll go through the spaghetti charts and I'll take a screenshot in the meantime.
Nice, fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Well, we've
Good
such
morning, guys.
well, first of all, let me say that Father Christmas didn't bring me a haircut or a razor. But I'd just like you to know that I'm not living in the gutter. I just fancied being hairy in 2026. So it's actually quite cold this morning. But look, I haven't got time to mess around this morning because wow, it's like things feel different than what they felt last week. And meme coins are getting a lot of traction. I've got one called Unicorn Fart Dust. I bought that based on the strength of, what Scott always said about these meme coins. Fart coin is the ultimate meme coin. Who doesn't find fart funny? Yada, yada, yada. But
Yeah.
I was sobbing over my retardio, and now I'm looking at my retardio. I've even drawn a couple of lines on the charts, and I'm like, well, I like what I'm seeing here, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to need to readjust what's in my Trojan bot. So anybody that's still got orders in Trojan bot, make sure you go and have a look at that.
Mm,
Anybody thinking what is Trojan bot? Have a read of the welcome post, and there's a
mm,
setup guide. But Trojan bot effectively is a set and forget system. It's a way that you can tell the bot to get you in and out of these main trades. Because if you look at Retardio, it does these huge wicks up, and if you don't have it programmed, then you're not gonna get it.
mm,
So with that said, Maurizio, last week the video that you did on the second, the update from there, you sounded very bullish. You were very tempted by Ethereum. You were telling us that the memes going up means that we're more of a risk on, people are, enjoying risk. We've got
mm,
Scott telling us that, the Venezuela situation is going to lead to cheaper goods, yada, 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 economic,
mhm.
you know. So all of a sudden it seems like let's take our clothes off and have a party. I mean, things seem to have changed a lot, Maurizio. So what's happening, dude? Get your crystal ball out.
Right, all right. Let's go through it. But first of all, guys, Happy New Year. And obviously fuck 2025, man. It was tough. It was a tough year, man. That's behind us. Whatever happens this year, we're going to enjoy it. But then, yeah, all the best, and I hope we all have the best 2026 ever, right? And let's see, if the bull run comes, and if not, definitely we'll be prepared to show the market as much as possible. So we do have a lot of different things planned for this year. So that's going to be an interesting year. So, right, let's get back into market. So I noticed that Todd already started going ballistic and longing. That's good. So, right, let's go through the charts, right? Because obviously on Friday, I spent a little bit of time doing a little bit of research, and I was very tempted to start going long on Ethereum, very much so. But weekend came along, and then obviously, if I would have put that trade on, I wouldn't have, it will be a lot of things now back on business, not back in business. So let's go through what I'm seeing, and I don't know if you guys long at Ethereum, or not. Like, did someone actually long before like after the New Year's?
Yeah, did anybody do that? Because I think I sent you a picture when I've got like this yellow box that I consider to be the liquidity pool, and I was really looking for a weekly close within that liquidity pool to give me that bit more confidence in ETH.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I
I
would
think,
say, well, we didn't close in it, but it was negligible. And when things are negligible, the bias can kick in. Oh, well, that's negligible, but it's bullish.
yeah,
But yeah, yeah. I didn't get into the trade though. George did.
yeah, yeah, man. I was tempted, like, and I saw this on the charts over the weekend. Like I saw this morning, been doing a little bit of, and it looked pretty good, man. It looked. I wish I would have just done a little bit of risk, to be honest. Like that's going to go on my journal this year. Things that you would have
What the
wished,
how many times I
you know.
fucked up journal.
Oh man, I have like
That's what
five.
a trading journal is.
I got five
Here's
journals,
how
man.
I
How
got
many
it
times
wrong
I fucked
today.
up? Like, but All right, let's go through it. So let's start with Bitcoin, right? Let's start with the major. So obviously, let's let me turn off all the drawings and everything that we did last week, and let's start with the yearly, right? Finally, we have a new yearly candle. Okay, so if we start top down, right? We start from the yearly. Obviously, this is a brand new candle, and because we only been up from the year, right, from the beginning of January. Obviously, this candle looks amazing, but obviously, bear in mind that it's always the beginning of the year. Throughout the year now, like throughout the first week, essentially, there's going to be some volatility, right? There's going to be people buying, selling, things like that. There's a big thing that's going to happen this week as well, in the next couple of weeks, and is that the CME gap market is going to become 24/7. Okay, so I think that will change the dynamics of the volatility of the market. How? I have no idea. This is the first time that the CME futures are going to be trading 24/7. What are the implications on that, on volatility, on funding rates, and all that sort of stuff? Who knows? So that's something that we have to be aware, at least in January, to see how the market reacts to CME gaps, and why CME now. On why I'm focusing on that, because there is a lot of institutions that now are trading Bitcoin and Ethereum as regular assets, risk assets, but they trade it, right? That's why the CME gap is important. When we have CME gaps, but we will not have any more CME gaps this year. So that's a significant shift that will happen in January, right? Is that going to be positive? Is that going to be negative? I have no fucking clue, to be honest. But there is that's intrinsic in the market. That's something that it will either provide more liquidity or either is going to provide more volatility. Either or. Think about it from that perspective, right? So have that in mind for those ones that don't know. When that's going to be the change, apparently they're going through the approvals and stuff like that, but that's going to be expected at some point in January 2026. Okay, so yeah, huge implications. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm not saying it's going to be amazing. But what I'm saying is we might provide a little bit more liquidity. That's for sure, right? To which direction? Who knows? All right. So that's something that I have a reminder of, when that's going to happen. I'm keeping track of that. So with that being said, yearly, obviously there's not much to say here yet, because we are 3 days, 5 days within the year. It's just to be mindful that we open at what the open yearly was at 87,648. So 87,600 is going to be an important level moving forward. Okay, that's the yearly open or yearly close, whatever you want to call it. It's the same price, right? So that's basically the only thing that I want to highlight in terms of the yearly for now. Now we start dropping down, right? And we go into the monthly, right? And monthly, like I say on Friday, right? Like, because on Friday was the monthly open, right? Beautiful inside candle, right? I would have, yeah, definitely this month looks pretty good accordingly. But we do have the high of last month at 94,500. So I'm just giving you some ideas of what are the levels that we should start breaking in order to actually reclaim this monthly trend, right? So we talk about weekly trend, monthly trend. So we still, do you think we still have a bullish trend completely intact here? Or you still think that we need some work to do in order to have a reclaim of this trend? Or what do you guys think? I'm curious.
Well, overall, this pullback is not deep.
All right.
Like there's nothing scary at the moment. This looks like a pullback, even without any kind of measuring. You could just look at that and think, well, Wow, okay. Yeah, that was a bit of a sell-off, but there's nothing scary here.
I agree to a certain degree. If this month is able to reclaim, we're going to have some a very similar pattern like this, right? And we might reach all-time highs, we might break, so we'll have a continuation of the trend, right? So
Mhm.
this month is going to be very important, right, in terms of what's going to be the reaction of the moving forward months, right? So
Hey,
that's the only
Jorge,
thing.
sorry to interrupt, Maurizio. To add a
Sure,
little
sure,
bit
sure.
more to my answer, it's like since sort of 2023, we've gone for this sideways accumulation, a little bit of downside deviation, and then we've continued with the trend. So what we're looking at right now is the same thing. We've gone into that sideward range, we've had downside deviation, but it's been deeper than previous, and now it looks like we're looking to reclaim that old range, that old, I think, is it distribution or accumulation range?
So accumulation is when you start buying, distribution is when you start selling.
So, yeah, that range level, and then that
hmm
ties in with, but I don't want to get caught up in it must happen. Just that's what's
Correct.
come before.
And something that I'm always keen is, I hope so that that happens, but if not, then we have to be prepared to actually short the market as well, right? So obviously,
Mhm.
I'm not saying
This
I'm
could be a
always
giant relief rally where we reject
exactly.
at that level.
I'm still playing the game. And we talked for the past several weeks the 100 level K. I think we're gonna reach it, right? What happens at 100K is gonna be very important, very important. Okay, and when think about it, like if we reach the 100K, a lot of people are gonna say, "Ah, fuck, like, bull run is on, man, for sure," right? And that might be exit liquidity. It's always a possibility, right? Don't get caught up in like, all right, full bull market. We've been caught up like that before. That's been my learning curve in the last couple of years, right? And we keep playing the game, right? Because things can happen like this. Look at this pattern, right? So we have right here, right? This is on 2021, right? And we have all-time highs in 2021. Then we come back. Then we have a positive month of March, and then everything just start going down until 2023 that starts picking up again, right? Can this happen again? Yes, that's for sure. Um, so obviously I cannot tell you that which level I'm gonna play, which is sort of this is my first plan, the 100K, right? And one of the good things right now that TradingView implemented, do you see this little sort of, I don't know, icon right here? You can now see the seasonality of every single token right from here. So if you click here, right, you can actually see. And seasonality, what that means is that what is the performance of an asset from the beginning of the year until the end of the year, right? And they sort of classify by, years. And obviously 2025 is being horrible, right? Being horrible. Okay. But the good thing about this is if we start getting a relief rally, I think the relief rally is going to be very, very significant, especially on alts. You could do this on all, you can do this type of graphs, right? So obviously seasonality is one of those things that we don't have enough, we only have a few years back, right? In terms of data, right? But the only thing to sustain from here is that at some point, I do think that we're going to have a rally. Okay. And it looks like, it's been doing nothing since November, give or take, right? Or it's been in a downtrend since October, basically, right? Bam, 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 bam. We are going to have a rally. And here's the other um things that I'm seeing as well. So let me go back to chat. All right, let's go in the weekly. Now, weekly. Oh yeah, Todd. I think he mentioned about weekly uh, that he liked it. Or Anyway, so weekly looks really good, man. Really good. So obviously, we might have definitely, um, a rally up to the 100K. That's why the 100K keeps, popping up. But it will start breaking. There's a high likelihood that it's going to start continuing trend. So from the weekly perspective, do you guys think we're still trending up or trending down?
Everybody needs to invert their chart at this point.
I
I do
will.
like the weekly, Todd. I do like the weekly.
Yeah, me too. I like it. Yeah, I like it. However, I'm okay. Todd says I think it's a bounce. Pop correct. So the question is, just say yes or no. Do you guys think we're trending or we're not on the weekly? All right. So yes, yes. Beginning of a trend, still uptrend. All right. My question is for you guys and for everybody, how do you define trend? Okay. And in my view, right, this is one of the ways that I define trend. And that's why the only few moving average, yeah, a really good trend in market is, a lot of institutions look at the daily EMA of 200 days, right? And why 200 days is like the beginning. Like there is some history about it. I can probably talk about that next year. Next year. Jesus Christ, man. Next week. But essentially a good uptrend is when we are above an average, right? This is a significance of a trend, right? Right here, right here. We still below this area here, and we haven't reclaimed market structure. What that means, right? What that means is market structure broke on November, on the weekly of November, it broke here, right? Until we start reclaiming that market structure, in my view, we're not trending yet. So the trade that I'm placing right now will be a mean reversion, right? If we mean reversion, right? And we, see what happened at 100. So so that will be a different trade than this one. See that this candle right here broke structure and this one reclaimed. Now that's a trending market, right? So even though things looks amazing, right? We're still catching the bottom in a way, right? And obviously just because crypto moved like 20% or something like that, that doesn't mean that we're back yet. But it looks there yet. It looks healthy, right? It looks very healthy, but we're still not trending. Something to be mindful, right? So fully trending is like this, man. Look at this. Look at this here, right? That's a beautiful trending market. This we're still reclaiming that weekly trend yet. Okay, in my view. All right, I could be completely wrong, but then I'll give you my definition. So if you agree with my definition, take it. If you do not agree with my definition, make sure that you find what's your trending definition, and then you know what I mean. Like make sure that that matches your definition. Let's go back to the daily. All right. Now let's go back to the daily. So we know that we're aiming for a mean reversion on the weekly. Okay. So from the daily perspective, are we trending?
Hmm. Well, if I cannot state a reason for, or not a reason, if I cannot state the criteria in which I evaluate trend, then I have to yield to somebody else's criteria. And if I yield to yours, then I'm looking at this and I'm still seeing mean reversion rather than trend.
I agree. And I'm still within the range. So we're still within that range. right? So now let me just draw a freaking box. Oh, let me just bring out my things and let me just remove all these things that we don't need any longer. All right, let me change this year level because this year level is no longer valid. So this year level was last year's level. Very important as well, all right? And the year finish, okay, either, give or take. So that's my year level. So we're still ranging. I'm not seeing a trend. So a trend will take time to develop, right? Or depends off what's going on at the moment. Just delete all the stuff, all these things. All right. So perfect. So from the daily perspective, this is the 1st of Jan. This is the second trade. We are in the 5th, right? So we are sort of 5 days in the new year, right? And everything is being up and up and up and up. Okay. Now the question that wanna ask myself is, will we have continuation or is this going to bounce back? Because we're in a range. Would you agree?
Agree.
All right. So how can I answer that question? So obviously we'll start looking, and obviously this is what I want to trade. So essentially, from the breakout resistance perspective, if we break out, if we have this breakup, and then probably that will be an amazing trade all the way up to 100K, right? But we could have this as well towards the bottom of the range, right? So let me ask you, which one do you guys think is going to happen? Option 1 or option 2? And let's start with the percentages. So Ian said option 1, and what percentage would you put that in that, Ian?
Brad 50
So,
50.
oh man, we're really bullish. Everybody's so bullish. That's actually great. Okay, interesting. Okay. All right. Herman, 70-30, we mean 70 up, 30 down?
Yeah, I think he said number one there.
Yeah. Number one. Yeah, thanks. All right. So, okay. And let me ask you this question, based on what you guys are saying this. Probably I did a spoiler last week based on that, but yeah. And just give me a bull flag, Todd. All right. Yeah. Yep. Low looks higher. Yep. Okay. Valid. Valid. Yes. Valid.
I'm always looking for a close and retest.
Who else? All right. I kind of agree with everybody because that's basically what we were seeing, right? There's a few things that we were waiting for on the beginning of the year, and then obviously people stopped selling, right? That's kind of the thing that we were sort of waiting for. Now, if we have a look at, let's go into a few other data, right? Wow, just in the last half an hour, it just went up again. Jeez, I told you, you gotta be happy, man. You gotta be happy with your long. All right. So
Maurizio, sorry, just before, this is something from your video last week. I think you were talking about the market makers were in charge, and that's why the
yes,
perps were going up. I wonder if you could just take just 1 or 2 minutes
yes,
just to tell us what a market maker is and what they do, because obviously we've got Goblin for the hyper trend vault that can
Yep.
operate. Is it 15 seconds? No, how fast is it? He can every
Yeah,
second
like
something ridiculous.
microseconds in a way.
Yeah.
Okay. So a market maker is the one that when no one is buying or selling, they do have contracts with exchanges in order to fulfill your orders. So if you think about, let's say that the market is quite illiquid and you like retail traders or institutional traders are not in, you can actually see that the market still moves up and down. Why? Um, if people want to buy or sell, right, someone needs to fulfill that order. So market makers are the ones in charge to fulfill that order, right? When you so by filling you and then they buying back and they buying forward, they can actually move the market up and down, up and down, up and down, right? And that's how they make money. They make money in fees. They make money in little wiggles, of the market, and that's what they do, right? That's why we need them. If we don't have market makers, there will be no movement in the markets, right? Because if someone doesn't want to buy, and more than likely they're algos that actually they do it automatically, right? So something going on with this. Give me one sec. Can you still see my screen?
We can, yeah.
It's not
Maybe it's
loading
got
for
something to
some
do
reason.
with the 19 billion tabs you've got open.
Probably.
You
Give
know
me
that
one second.
you can group those tabs, and there's a new built-in split screen now
I know, I know, I
on
know. I have
Chrome.
it. I have it here. So, but
Mm.
let me just take this out and close this.
I think we
And
need something different than tabs now.
all right.
There's got to be some new way to present this. He's old school, Ian. Yeah, I know. He's probably got a pen and pencil somewhere. Maurizio must have 1 terabyte of RAM. Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
We're just taking the piss out of you whilst you just talking about how much stuff you got. Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, I got a little
No,
pad there.
loading.
Yeah.
Give me one second. Let me just close some stuff. Give me one second.
Hmm. I like using the voice dictation apps now.
Oh,
So don't even, have to type anymore.
yeah, Brad, we're gonna talk about that one. Let me just wait until this thing loads. I'm gonna close some stuff here. See if that improves. So
Hmm.
everything else is loading for some reason. Velo is not loading.
Let me just see if my own bellow is loading or whether it's been a dick. Um,
Probably it's just Velo. It's not me. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Got it. Finally. All right. Let me just all right. You guys see my screen now?
Let me just yeah, we can, yeah.
All right. So uh the main shift, that's why I didn't want to go in last year. We saw this type of behavior. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Like people wanted to go long, then they go long. Usually they put the stop loss below these levels here and they get stopped out, or they get stopped out or liquidated, and then people go short here and back and forward. Okay. So the interesting thing is since you actually the 3rd of June, since the 3rd of June, there's a massive amount of CVD volume coming through, right? You can actually see here. that the CVD is actually being sustained, right? And even this morning, you know, people are buying it. People are buying. What that means is this is the kind of behavior that I want to be sustained in order to break to the upside. And I did talk about it a little bit on Friday, and we saw that with Ethereum, right? And that's why I was very, very tempted to actually go long. And the good thing is, you know, we can see now that these shorts, people that actually shorted the market, they've been either liquidated or being forced out of that trade, right? You can actually see that happening here. And the only way that they can do that is by closing positions or being forced. And one of the ways of being forced is by CVD volume coming through. You know, there's more CVD, there's more spot buyers than that perpetual futures. So this is this is kind of the price movement that we want to see in order to have a significant sort of move to the upside. Okay. So this is the behavior that I can see. I think we're on, man. You know, I think we're on. So it's clear in a way, right? And if you start seeing the behavior on the 4 hour, right, on Bitcoin sort of deal, you can start seeing. We sort of saw it a little bit last like at the end of the year, right? But now the 2nd of June was kind of clear, but then it's not clear enough until you actually see this kind of behavior. You know, you start seeing a break of structure in the CVD performance, in the CVD behavior, in the spot buying behavior, right? So now the trick is, are we going to have a pullback or not? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the trick right now, because obviously, you know, price has moved up a lot. Yeah, a lot or not a lot. That depends on however you want to see it. But from the 3rd of June, Bitcoin has gone up 4%, 4%. You know what I mean? So that's actually in Bitcoin, 4% is a big move, right? In a way, right? So this is the first indication that I'd like to start buying. Simple as that, right? Sometimes it gets just as simple as that, man. So obviously that's why I think I'm with you guys in terms that we have a highly likelihood that we're going to start breaking to the upside. Obviously, we're going to find resistance at the 94K, right? Be mindful of that. It's going to be there's going to be shorts that want to be short at 94K. But if we break this 94K, there is a highly likelihood that's going to fill this gap. And this is a clear gap to fill. And if we fill this gap, so it's going to lead us all the way up to 100K. Now, in 100K, what's going to happen? Who knows? It's because we need to still have momentum of CVD buyers at that level in order to sustain the price. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of something to be aware of. Okay, so whatever we do, be mindful, take some profit on 100K if we start getting some trades, get some profits when Bitcoin gets there, and then move the stop losses. And if we break, great. You know what I mean? We're gonna have a continuation of rally. If we don't, then that's great as well. That's great as well, because at least you're protected with the stop loss and things. Okay, but this price action looks pretty interesting. However, think about it from the perspective that today is going to be the first day of institutional trading, right? So today is the first day. You know, well, the second was the first day, but you know, a lot of institutions were on holidays, things like that. Now this is the first week of actual real trading. So this is the first week of New Year session, real heavy liquidity coming through. All right. So I'm excited, right? Because this could lead us to this massive move, right? This is a huge gap to fill, and we might fill it quite fast, man. This could happen in 1 day or 2 days, or we could take 2 weeks. But for the looks of this and the demand, and you know, it looks like it's going to be an interesting Monday to end in the year session, right? Can we have a sell-off? And then yeah, I can, but you don't want to, like, the problem with bull runs is timing the fucking pullbacks, because if we do have a bull run, there shouldn't be any pullbacks. Because think about it from the perspective, this is an auction, right? Like the market is an auction. So if I see that everything's going up and it's going up and we're missing the boat, what are your reaction? You're gonna miss the boat. So what you're gonna do? You're gonna fucking buy, right? And that's the kind of behavior that I want to see. So the only thing is we need to sort of widen our stop losses, right? So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of today's price action. Okay, so yeah, man, I like it. So let's talk about Ethereum, right? Because Ethereum, man, I was so tempted, man. Fuck, man. Anyway, nothing that you can do. I want to get positioned, right? I know Ethereum looks much better than Bitcoin. Here's why. All right. In terms of CBD, the main sort of bulk happened the 2nd of June, so prior Bitcoin, and it's been it's been definitely liquidating people to the short side. So it's actually a really, really good price action, right? It's still CBD coming through. Okay. Now, are we going to go full risk on? I'm going to bet the house and I'm going to go full on. No, my size is going to be a little bit lower because we are on a mean reversion week. Okay. Once we enter on a daily full trend, then I'll up my size. You know what I mean? So that's basically something that saved me in that trades because this could retrace at any given moment. Why? Because we're still in a range. Would you agree? It looks like we're going to break. It looks like, but there's nothing for sure. Therefore, we're not trending. Therefore, we're in range. Therefore, we're aiming, we're betting for a breakout. If we don't have that breakout, right, then more than likely things are going to retrace a little bit, right? So be mindful of that. Therefore, your size, I'm not going to go really big yet. Okay, that's kind of the main reaction. But if you look at everything, Solana, we just sort of coming off the range. If this sustained, this was clear a deviation. So I really like Solana. Solana looks pretty good. BNB looks pretty fucking good, right? So now, the difference between Bitcoin and BNB in terms of the charts, what do you guys see in terms of the daily?
According to the definition that we're using for trend, your definition, BNB is trending.
It's almost ready to reclaim the trend. Is you know what I mean? Like this one is actually the one that is actually performing the best out of this one. Bitcoin, we haven't reclaimed the trend from the daily perspective. Ethereum, it looks like it's going to reclaim the trend. Solana, far away. This will be a massive gap to fill as well. Really good mean reversion trade, by the way. BNB is the one that actually is going to reclaim the trend the first, because think about it from the perspective in terms of performance, right? In October, when Bitcoin from top down, this is from the 5th of October, dropped 36%, right? BNB, this is the 5th? Yeah, give or take. 41%. But what do you see here in terms of this range? And from the 1st of November, 25% from the 1st of November. Now, 1st of November, give or take right here, give or take, we only have 20%. So in terms, if you look into the spaghetti charts, right, and let's add BNB here. And by the way, how do BNB? There you go.
I got an ATR question when you're ready
Yes.
that ties in with these breakouts.
Yep. So yeah, should.
So ATR doesn't give us directionality.
No.
So my question, because I don't understand ATR enough, is what's the fucking point of it? Because I'm looking at the charts and I can tell you that I don't know which direction it's going to go. So why do I need ATR to tell me that it doesn't know which direction it's going to go? Like the only function that I understand of the ATR is low ATR means generally means that can be an explosive breakout.
All right. Two things. So let's define ATR. So ATR is average true range.
And we
Okay.
use the percentage one, do we?
Yes, this is the percentage one. Um, the average true range essentially is how much market is moving, right? It's a measure of volatility.
Mhm.
Okay. So it is very handy to have the ATR to actually put a stop losses because you do not want to put the stop loss within your ATR range because you're going to get stopped out, right? So more than likely you use it to measure that. However,
Right.
once volatility breaks to either direction, there is a highly likelihood that volatility will continue in the same direction that it broke out.
Okay.
All right. So for instance, right now, if we look at from the daily perspective, volatility hasn't broken. Like if we look at BNB, right? Volatility is pretty down still, right?
Mhm.
What I mean, it broke here, right? And it broke here to the downside. How do you know I broke here? Because actually it moved up,
A little
right?
uptick. Yeah.
It moved up, so it broke. So it broke the sort of structure, but it broke towards the downside. So, for the next 2 or 3 days, the market moved down. See?
Hmm.
That's the definition of volatility, right? Is a if volatility keeps moving up. So for instance, right here, let's have a look at VNB. So volatility right here. Volatility is going down, 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 flat, down, 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 broke up, right? Which direction it broke? To the upside,
Hmm.
right? Now, sustain, 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 and then volatility went up again here. Which direction? This is when things went go nuts in a way. Obviously, we missed all this, right? But that's when volatility kind of go nuts. See? Towards the direction because people want to get positioned. So that's the purpose of ATR.
That's $1 million answer right there.
So it serves two purposes, right? In a way, stop losses and towards which direction volatility is breaking, right? So at this point, for instance, and that's how I use it. I know there's a million ways to use an indicator, and that's how Scott taught us how to use the volatility measure, right? In a way. So from that perspective, I'm tempted, like, price moving, but volatility start breaking here, right? And I need to, it takes a little while for the volatility to come around, especially on the daily. So, but it usually is very, very accurate. So if you look for the volatility change right here, let's say, bang, what happened? So broke up, volatility price moved down. So there's expectancy that price is going to move down in the next couple of days. And it did. Bam, 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 bam. Now, right here, right, volatility just start breaking to the upside and bang. So that's, you know what I mean? Like I don't rely only on volatility, but it's just a gauge where the market could actually break to the upside or break the downside. Okay.
Wonderful.
And if volatility is down very small, that's when we can go bigger in size in a way
Because the move should be more explosive.
towards the upside, right? So our stop losses could actually be higher in a way,
I'm
right?
with you. So
Right?
going by looking at the where price is now on the daily and going by my definition of what I want to see for trend continuation, the close and then the retest, and then I look at the volatility, and then the volatility will either stay neutral or it could
Yep,
break. And then when it
yep,
breaks, if that's in line with, say, the retest that I'm looking for, and that
yep,
retest is successful and volatility's broke, then I got a much higher probability trade. Or no, maybe,
exactly.
yeah. And then I could still further bolt on open interest stuff
Yep.
on
To
top.
actually sustain your so there's a few factors obviously. So we mentioned that all the majors. If we have a look at the spaghetti charts, man, I think the spaghetti charts look amazing, right? And the
Hmm.
interesting thing, let me just take a screenshot for you, man.
So Maurizio's taking me a screenshot. I'll post this screenshot with the call recording, okay? And then you can just figure out your own charts the same like this if you want. Do you have to
eh,
have paid trading view? I think it's
yes,
premium maybe.
yes,
You got to get
yes,
8
you do
windows.
because with the premium you could you you know with the higher tier subscription they allow you to do much more
Mhm. But you could create
squares.
multiple with 4 charts and 4 charts or
Exactly.
something like
Or
that.
one child and move it along and things like that. You know what I mean? But then obviously, uh, when I see market like doing like this, man, I want to go in long on everything, to be honest. So,
Maurizio sounds like a thirsty man outside a bar.
man, and
Yeah.
that's bad sometimes because I've been caught up, you know. So which like which one you go in? Which market? This is the tough because once you see the market like this, you can actually see all meme coins doing great, all betas doing fantastic, you know, L1's doing freaking great, right? Uh, so essentially everything looks really, really, really good. Like freaking
I
Renda.
think I think
Have a
that
look
the
at
pullback in the AI stuff, I think, is really healthy for that particular sector.
I think so. I think so. So Renda, look, Renda, it's been out of my gauge for so long, and now it's back in the game, right? So everything is outperforming Bitcoin in a way, right? So right here is just thinking which ones are what is the narrative that is going to come along, and it's that. But at the end of the day, this is going to become really easy to trade because anything that you buy is going to go up, and that's it.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's simple in a way. Just be mindful in terms of leverage, right? That's the only thing. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say that is everything is going really, really great. Can we have a pullback? Yes, we can. I'm gonna bet on the pullback. I'm not sure, man. So it's looking pretty strong, especially from the beginning of the year, which is basically what we were waiting for, right?
Yeah. Could we,
So
if this is the right time, could we have a
yep,
look at some of the others? So I'm going to get away from my comedy position of Bitcoin dominance. Okay, let's move on from that now. But
yep,
Bitcoin dominance, USDT, USDC dominance, crypto total market cap. These are
yep,
other little things that we've looked at a lot. It could be worth
yeah.
going
So
over.
let's talk about that in terms of market health. So the dominance, the USDT, USDC divided by two, this chart, it looks pretty freaking good. Why? Because if we start losing this, that means that these capitalists are actually gaining position on crypto. As simple as that, right? So obviously the dominance is no longer on USDC. We still. So here's the trick. We're getting there. Are we there yet? No. That's why we say we're still in range. See, everything is in range right now, even though everything looks amazing, right? So whatever trade I'll go into with, not full size or based on this. But everything looks pretty good, man. Like when we start breaking this will definitely be a mean reversion. Alts are going to get fuel. Ethereum. Let's have a look at Ethereum against Bitcoin. This is why I like Ethereum better than Bitcoin. All right, this is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. Which one do you think is stronger? Definitely Ethereum, right? So Ethereum hasn't been able to actually break down, in terms of relative strength between Ethereum and Bitcoin. There's a high likelihood that it will start gaining trends, like it will start reclaiming trends on Bitcoin and Solana and all the tokens. More than likely, Ethereum is going to be a really good trade here. It's going to outperform Bitcoin more than likely, right? Like according to what I'm seeing. So yeah, man. In terms of others they look pretty good right now, right? But we still haven't been able to clear this range right here. So that's why we, a little bit of very, very cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic, but it looks pretty good. So once we start reclaiming this and, especially the 200 EMA, then we can actually see this sort of behavior across all alts. And is that going to be the beginning, or is that we're going to just have a relief rally and then crash? Who the fuck knows, man? But at least if we start getting positioned here, I think it's going to be good. So before we finish the call, I wanna talk about a few ones. So our virtual trade is going good. Look at this. This is a virtual trade. We went in. This is the only trade that is still open, to be honest, and from the entry. So far so good. If you're in this trade, it's not a bad idea to take some profits, and then we'll aim to up our size and move the stop loss, up here. But this trade is doing great, man. I think, fantastic. So what else I'm looking at? I'm looking at VCH. VCH, man, is being relative strong, like very, very strong for the past since look, October. Everything is going down. VCH is being holding and holding and holding and holding, and we're very close to a yearly sort of. Let's put a weekly here. So we're very close to the massive breakout. So a massive breakout will come to 722, and that will fuel VCH. Even though I hate VCH as a project, I cannot deny this strength, man. So it's a tough one to get in. If I get in on this one, I'll do on spot, definitely. Why? Because these are very scammy. What that means is you can, it could actually go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and take people's stop losses and stuff like that. So if I do, I'll just buy spot on this one. But I really, really like the structure in terms of the price action on this. And if we have a breakout on Bitcoin, I do think VCH will be a beneficiary of this, according to what I'm seeing here in terms of strength, right? They're aiming to have this breakout. And if that happens, we could see a massive, at least 120, 150% to all-time highs on VCH. Will that happen? Who knows? But it looks pretty good. Another one that I'm looking at is the World Liberty Fund. And now with what happened in Venezuela, I think this one could be an interest. Like this is driven by Trump, right? And a lot of things are going to be driven by Trump in the next couple of months, right? Oil prices, things like that. Even though politically, I'm kind of mixed views on the Venezuela thing. But then from the price action, I think the World Liberty stuff, they have, this gap to fill. So I'm looking at that one closely. I was going to get in before the end of before, like on I did talk about this one on Friday. So I really like this one. Would I wait for a pullback? Who knows? But if I look from the daily, I think a trade like this could look really okay. A stop loss or invalidation before that, but this is another one that it could go really, really good. SUI as well. So we enter SUI here, we get out around here because I didn't like the market, but now we're back on risk on, give it a take. So I like SUI. I like SEC as well. So SEC now is actually trending, right? So we might reach the same highs here. So that could be an interesting trade as well to take. I really like LIT. So let's talk about LIT, okay? So LIT is this price action is from Bybit, by the way, and this is being something that is called pre-market. So pre-market is when sort of the token is not launched yet, and Bybit creates a pre-market, a pure speculation. Right? It's like betting, right? But now this is the launch, right? This is the real token launch. So it went from 0.65 all the way up to $2. This is the Lighter protocol, the Lighter exchange. And this exchange is actually, I think, between Asta. So it's a few competitors, right? If we talk about that, right? Brad, no, this is not a gap fill. And this is a very important observation. A gap fill is when the price is when there is a gap because the market makers or the exchanges couldn't fulfill quick enough, so there's a gap, and usually they get filled. This gap is not a gap because this is a pre-market, and now this is the launch. So it's a different product in a way. This is when people were speculating that this thing it was going to go to the moon or crash or whatever, but this is the actual launch. Okay, so this gap is sort of irrelevant from that perspective. So be careful with this type of gaps. Okay, so with that being said, essentially, if you look at this let's have a look at it from the spot perspective, so it makes more sense. And let's do gate. No, I want to see a chart, only a spot. Give me 1 second. So it makes more sense. Bluffing? No. This? Yeah, this could be a better. So you can probably see it from this, but this is another exchange, but this is kind of the chart that we are actually looking. This is the actual spot sort of launch, right? And essentially, in terms of fundamentals, this one as a product from a lot of different traders, they think that it could be the one that actually competes with Hyperliquid. So we have different ones. We have Asta, that is a DeFi protocol that it looks like, but it looks, I've been trading both. I've been trading Asta and I've been trading Lighter, and Lighter has a much more reliability in terms of trading, and it does attract bigger traders. They have the vaults, they have a lot of different interesting products. Asta is catching up. I think this still has a chance. The good thing of Asta is that it has the credibility from CC is the one that is actually backing this up. So in terms of exchanges, right, I'm still looking at these two, right? But LIT is, I think, my favorite so far. So I think it's not a bad spot buy, by the way. Okay, I wouldn't do this one on leverage because we could still have a drop, right? Why? Because LIT gave a lot of airdrops to people. Okay, so people will still be able to sell. That's going to be on the cards this tomorrow. I'm going to start tracking the airdrops. If people are going to sell airdrops or not. If they don't, it's going to happen the same thing at Hyperliquid. That no one sold and everybody was actually just keeping their airdrops. and that's going to be a massive increase on late. Okay, so that's the intricacy of late, the airdrops. Okay, so but I do like it. I think we're going to start a position on spot on this one at this price, right? It could get volatile. I might not. I definitely will not do this on leverage, but I'll start a position on late. Okay, so those are my favorites at least for this year. And if market keeps going up, I think lit or LIDA, either LIDA exchange will do really well, man. Really, really well. Okay. So this and Asta, I'm just keeping a very close eye on these ones to add more on Asta because we are in a position to spot on Asta, but I think I want to start buying lit. Okay.
Wonderful. What a session, Maurizio. What a session. Certainly looking forward to the first video update of the week in the group. And yeah,
All
let's
right,
see
guys.
what the
So
market gives us.
Happy New Year. Let's see what the market gives us. Always ask yourself that question. That's very well put, Ian. Or, you know what I mean? Like, let's see what the market is going to give us. Don't force the market. Let's go with the markets. And I like the markets, man. I like it, what I'm seeing. So yeah.
Nice. All right then. See you
All right,
later,
guys.
everyone. Ta-da.
Have a good one. Bye bye.